Hello, and thank you all for joining tonight's 10th and 11th grade parent night for class of 2025 and 2026. My name is Ashley Bonet, and I am one of the counselors at Clayton Valley. We also have Patrick Lafiti on as well. He is another counselor at Clayton Valley. I do ask that you guys please keep your mics muted until the end when we will do open questions, as well as please feel free to type in the chat. Mr. Lafiti is monitoring the chat and will be able to answer questions as we go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go ahead and get started with the presentation. Lafiti, you can see that good? Okay, so like I said, thank you and welcome to Clayton Valley's Parent Night for grades 9th and 10th grade. So on the agenda, we'll do some introductions, parent information, graduation and college information, as well as Naviance. So here are your school counselors. We work on academics, college and career, personal and social emotional.
Batería del 100%.
Can you guys still hear me? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I'll start over because I think somehow I was muted. So we have Ms. Rush, whose alpha is A through CAP, Mr. Lafiti, who's CAR to FO, Ms. Coleman, who's FR to KA, Ms. Regatta, who's KE to M, Ms. Gonzalez, who's N to P, Ms. Bonet, that's me, whose alpha is Q to TO, and Ms. Garcia, who's TR to Z. To explain the alphabet, basically, it's the last letter of the first letter of your last name, depending on where it falls within that. These are your designated counselors for academic, social, emotional, college, personal support. Ms. Rush is on maternity leave, and we do have a substitute counselor, Ms. Vel Snyder, who is working in her place. So if you need help and your student falls under Ms. Rush, please reach out to Vel Snyder. She will be able to support you until Ms. Rush returns. We have two college and career counselors, and that's Ms. Garcia and Ms. Gonzalez. They specialize, on top of working with our regular students, they do Naviance career and college platform, college and career center website. They do college admissions, college visits, college reps, upcoming college fairs and events, scholarship information, financial aid, SATs, and ACT information. So as your student moves up in grade and start getting closer to applying to colleges and needing more information, these would be the two people that you would want to contact first regarding scholarships, financial aid, college visits. We do get reps that come to campus during lunchtime. Your student is welcome to come and explore them while they're still freshmen or sophomores, just to get an idea of maybe where they might want to go. We also have two MFTs, which is our marriage and family therapists on campus. They are in the office and they alternate days. So just depending on what day it is, your student is able to meet with them for emotional support, short-term counseling, help students with coping skills. They also run group and crisis management. So if you feel your student needs a little extra support going through some things, you can reach out to their academic counselor, and then we can follow up with an MFT if more support is needed. So how do students reach their counselors? Most students will do drop-ins. We prefer after school, before school, lunch or brunch. No appointment is required. So if your student needs support, these are the times that we typically tell them to come in. We don't want to keep students out of class, so during these times are what works best. If it's a quick question or maybe something that can be answered via email, we also tell students and parents to send an email, and this is how you'll get the quickest response from us. You can call and leave a voicemail, but I'll be honest, that's probably the hardest way to get a hold of us, because we'll go through the whole day seeing students in meetings, answering emails and voicemails usually are the last thing that we'll check at the end of the day. So you may not get your answer as quickly as you would if it was email or a drop-in. So this is just to explain kind of how it is, right? So you have 9th or 10th graders, first day of school, they don't want to go to school. They're dreading it. And on the flip side, in 4 to 3 years, your students will be going off to college and you'll be begging them to stay. Well, some of you will be begging, the others might be pushing them out the door. So, it just all depends. So let's talk about how you can help your child be successful in high school. So monitoring their grades weekly, you all should have access to their Powerschool and Schoology. This can feel like a roller coaster because grades do change daily. So just be mindful, if you see a quick drop, you might see a quick increase as well. We also encourage you to check the Clayton Valley website and bulletin weekly for information on homework help and other supportive activities on campus. Our weekly bulletins and websites will have the most information related to day-to-day school activities, opportunities, college and career information, and things like that. We encourage students to attend office hours, which is now our ugly hour. And so basically that's where it's an hour on the block days that they're designated to one teacher, but they can make appointments and go meet with the teacher that maybe they need extra support. So just following up with your students to ensure that they're using their ugly hour to the best of their ability to meet with those teachers that can provide that extra support. Sorry, great part. Okay, so student checklist for success. So monitoring grades weekly for students on Powerschool and Schoology, attending, like I said, those ugly hours, schedule a parent-teacher conference if needed. If you feel that your student is struggling, the first place to go is to the teacher. They will know how to support the student. They will know what's going on day-to-day in the class, studying tool techniques, as well as like tutoring and things like that. Studying and homework is really important. Organizing your backpacks, use an academic planner. I don't know if many students use a physical planner anymore, but definitely putting to-do dates inside of their phones as a reminder is super helpful. Practice self-care. We encourage students to get 8 hours of sleep, go for a walk, run, exercise, hang out with friends and family. We also encourage students to unplug, turn their phones off 1 hour before bed. It's probably like pulling it away from them, but it's really for their good. It allows them to get better night's sleep because, once students go to their room, they can be on the phone all night, we wouldn't know. And also we encourage students to attend regularly. Coming to school will be the key to getting the best education. So encouraging students to come to school on a regular basis, keeping up with the work, and if they find themselves having difficulties, to contact their teachers to get the best support. So programs, academics, athletics, and clubs. We encourage students to get involved. We have Link Crew, band, choir, theater, drama, AVID, leadership. We also have academic academies. So we have the engineering, the Clayton Arts, the medical, public service, and the digital art technology academies. So if your student is not currently a part of an academy, we strongly encourage them to look into maybe some options that might interest them, as well as other programs that we offer. So we also offer sports. At Clayton Valley, we have football, basketball, soccer, wrestling, tennis, volleyball, water polo, cross country, and the list goes on and on. And so these are really important for students to think about. It's overall a good thing for students to get involved, regardless of it's academically or sports. We also have clubs. Here's to just name a few. And if you have a student that's super interested in something and we don't have a club, we do have applications for them to start a club. So how do you know what's going on at Clayton Valley? Again, we have the parent bulletins that are sent out via email weekly, and you can subscribe to the bulletins. Bulletins are posted on the main page of the school website. You can join the parent faculty club, and you can visit the official Clayton Valley Facebook page. I know you guys can't actually click on these pages, but this will also be posted on the website for you to go back and click on later. So Clayton Valley website, you'll see the calendar and events. This is where you'll see testing dates, athletic activities, school-wide events. We also have the newsletter that comes out weekly. There's also the counseling page where you can find our presentations like this one, resources for counseling, course selection, college and career information. Then we also have an athletics tab for students to get in contact with coaches, schedules, physicals, as well as tryout information. Again, this counseling tab will be really important as we're getting close to doing course selection for the following year. I know we feel like we just started this year, but the ball is already rolling to get ready for next year. So this counseling page, you'll be able to find resources for the course selection, the course catalog. We strongly encourage you to look at this for your students. When it's time to do course selections, we want students and parents to really understand the courses they are signing up for, because we do have strong guidelines and rules that we follow that we will talk about in a little bit about dropping classes and adding classes. That comes with the course selection. So make sure when you know that's course selection time that you're looking it over with your students. So Powerschool and Schoology. For Powerschool, this is like grades, attendance, and then Schoology would be assignments and grades. They link together. So teachers typically use Schoology for all of assignments and grades, and then Powerschool reads that, and then that's where we get the grades, and I can look at it and say, oh, so-and-so has missed these assignments, and we can talk about that of how to make up assignments. You all should have parent access to these things, and if you don't, please email your counselor requesting access to Powerschool or Schoology. So staying on task to meet graduation. So A, Bs, and Cs only are earning credits for the courses. You must pass every class with a C or higher by the end of the semester. So the semester ends in December, and then we start a new one in January, and then the next one ends again. I know that you guys get like quarterly grades. Those are just kind of like, hey, your student is in jeopardy of failing, your student isn't doing well, or your student is right on track. But the grades do finalize and go on transcript at the end of each semester. So each semester, students should earn a total of 30 credits unless they have 7 classes, and then it would be 40. And if your student happens to get below a C, we do have options for credit recovery. There's online, which is our Edgenuity program. You can also repeat the course at a community college level. If you do at the community college level, you do earn college level credit as well to go towards their college career. And some courses are actually repeated in seat. So let's say a student fails Algebra 1 first semester and second semester. When they move into the 10th grade, they will be in seat repeating Algebra 1. So graduation requirements. This is the breakdown over the 4 years that your student will be at Clayton Valley. You need 4 years of English, 3 years of history, world history, US history, and as a senior, they'll take 1 semester of US government and 1 semester of econ. You need 3 years of science, must include 1 year of a life science, 1 year of a physical science, and then the 3rd year is of your choice. Math, you must take 3 years of math. Algebra 1 must be passed. For some students, you pass Algebra 1 in middle school. The credits do not transfer over, but it's considered passed, and therefore your 9th grader came in and started in Algebra 2. You're fine. You must also attempt geometry, but that's not part of graduation, but that is part of it. I'll go over in a second too. You must complete 2 years of the same language. So if your student is in in Spanish 1 now, they must take Spanish 2 to meet this requirement. If your student came in as a freshman and jumped into Spanish 2, they must make it to Spanish 3. We have 1 year of a fine arts, 2 years of physical education.
Ashley,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Your audio kind of going in and out. If you stay right there in the middle, I think you'll be good.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I think sometimes when I'm far away from the computer, it cuts out, so I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, so physical education is 2 years. Then there's 1 year of college prep elective. And then there's 40 credits worth of electives, equaling 230 credits to meet Clayton Valley graduation. So then we have the A through G requirement, which is also college acceptance requirement. So it's pretty similar, but I'll go over this as well. So for history, you need 2 years, world history, US or government. You need the 4 years of English. You need the 3 years of math, but 4 years is highly recommended. Again, that's Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. They do want you to have 2 years of a science, 3 years recommended. They want you to have 2 years of the same language, 3 years is recommended. So this is a little tricky because your student can be Spanish 2, and that would equal the level 2, but they would recommend the 3rd year. So it's kind of tricky. If you have questions regarding that, make sure you ask your counselor. You must also do 1 year of a college prep elective. So if a student happens to take that 4th year of math, that would also be considered a college prep elective. And then test requirements for UC and CSU admissions, ACTs and SATs, they are no longer using them for admissions purposes, but they can be used for placement in English or math courses once they get to college level. So we have advanced placements and honors courses. They do increase your GPA, and so students are encouraged to take them. What we say is quality over quantity. So we want students to take AP classes and honors courses, pass the AP exam with a 3 or higher, but we don't want them to be overwhelmed taking 4 classes and maybe not doing so well on the test or in the class overall. We also like to mention that UCs and CSUs limit the number of points accepted for AP classes. So they only accept 4 courses towards when you apply towards college credits. So something to think about as your students choose courses for course selection. So the A through G chords, again, if you follow the graduation requirement and the A through G requirement, your student will receive a red, white, and blue cord that they can wear at graduation. It is something that Clayton Valley does provide for the students who meet those requirements. So college-bound student athletes, if you have a student that wants or plans to play college-level sports, they must sign up and register for the Ncaa Eligibility Center no later than their junior year. I won't go into super details about this, but if you have a student that plays a sport, you need to talk to their coach and their counselor and make sure that they're registered before their junior year. So college planning. So California has 4 systems of education. There's the community college, the California State Universities, the Universities of California, and private colleges. So there are 114 community colleges in California. The requirements to get into any community college is you must be either 18 years or have a high school diploma. You apply and you register for your classes. It's pretty straightforward. You typically apply the semester before you're going to start. So most students are going to start in the fall, so they would apply either spring or summer prior to them going. So it's a little bit you have more time to apply for community colleges. And so what do community colleges offer? They offer transfer options for CSUs, UCs, and other colleges. They also have programs like TAG that tags a UC, and it basically says if you meet the requirements, you can tag a UC that you want to go to. They also have an AAT, which is an Associates for Transfer in a field. It kind of like guarantees your spot in one of those schools. So great opportunities if your student is planning to go to community college. They also offer AAs and AS degrees, which typically are about 2 years, vocational training, and certificate programs. Then we have the California State Universities. There are 23 campuses in California. They do require the A through G requirements, a 2.0 GPA or higher. And then they offer the bachelor's and master's degrees. These schools are all over California. And then we have the UCs. And they require, again, the A through G. The GPA is a little bit higher with a 3.0 or higher. They do look at extracurricular activities. I tell my students all the time, anyone applying to UC Berkeley has really good grades. So what makes you stand out from just having good grades? Are you the captain of a sport? Do you run a club? Are you active member in the community or your church? These things are really important to UCs because they want to see what else you bring to the campus besides good grades. They also require personal insight questions, essays for the application, something that as Clayton Valley counselors, we do work with your students and kind of just opening their eyes to these essay questions. English teachers also work with students senior year on completing their essay questions. So it's something to think about. UCs offer bachelor's, master's, law, medical, and doctoral degrees. So there are private and independent colleges in California. Most of them will require the A through G as well. Now, some of these schools may require the SATs and ACTs. If your student is planning to apply or look at any private, independent, or out-of-state colleges, I strongly encourage you to look at the admissions page of these colleges to see if the SATs or ACTs are required so that your student can, one, prepare for them and take them in enough time to apply the scores to their application. And so, like I said, they may require the SAT, some of them may not. This all changed because of COVID. And many of them will require an essay or a letter of recommendation. But again, we encourage you guys to look at the website for admissions requirements so that you know exactly what is being required. Again, out-of-state colleges, there are a lot of them across the United States. Again, most of them will require the A through G coursework. Some may require the SATs or ACTs. And some students say, well, why go out of state? So just a couple things. They have a higher admit rate. So it might be a little bit easier to get into the schools. They also have a higher 4-year completion rate. California schools are super impacted. There's a lot of kids going to these schools. And so classes are filling up before students can get the classes they need. This is an issue at some out-of-state colleges, but for many of them, it's not as hard as it is in California. So something to think about it. There's also potential for additional scholarships. There's something called the WUI Undergrad Exchange Program. And basically it's like a tuition scholarship because you're going to a Western school. If you have questions about the WUI program, please reach out to your counselor and we can provide you with more information about that as well. So the PSATs and ACTs, pre-ACTs, your students all took that, well, 11th graders took it today, and then 10th graders also took it today during College Bound Day. So this is kind of just to see how students will do if they were to take the actual PSAT or SAT. So as of 2022, the SATs and ACTs will no longer be utilized in the CSUs and UCs for admissions. But if your student is planning to go to an out-of-state, private, or independent college that does require the SATs or ACTs, for the SATs, you will have to go to the College Board website. The cost is about $60. And there's a few different deadlines that are listed here. There are late registration fees. So if you register late, there is a fee. Also, the ACTs, a little bit more expensive, which is $88. And you would have to go to actstudents.org to register for that. We highly recommend for students to take the SATs or ACTs for the first time during the spring of their junior year. So that is January, February, March, April, May, June of their junior year before going into senior year. Students can retake it again in the fall during their senior year. So starting in in August, but you have that whole summertime to also take it again. So for students who need to study or prepare for the SATs and ACTs, these are free online test preps that you guys can use to help your students study for the SATs or ACTs. I do recommend either writing these down or taking a quick photo of them so that you know for future reference. So Naviance grade level task and timelines. So what is Naviance? It's a platform that counselors use to help students discover their interests, learn about potential majors and careers, explore scholarships and opportunities, and prepare the college application process. When your student becomes a senior, we strongly use Naviance. We send transcripts through Naviance. We send letters of recommendations through Naviance. There's fee waivers through Naviance. So we strongly encourage students to get familiar with Naviance. We start this out as early as freshman year, where we do activities, we do resume building, we do career and college exploring, major exploring, all of these tools, so that by the time they get to a senior, they know how to use Naviance, add the schools that they're applying to. It also has tools for you to look at the different campuses. You can use a tool on there and say, like, I want to go to a campus that's in a big city. I want to be able to study this major, and it'll populate all schools that are in big cities that have your major, have D1 sports, and it basically breaks it down for you. So Naviance is a great tool that I encourage you to even use with your student and just explore and click through. If you have questions about how to utilize Naviance, feel free to reach out to your counselor, and we can answer those questions as well. So thank you so much for listening to me talk through this presentation. I will now open it up for questions. If you guys have questions, I guess you guys can, I don't really know the best way to do it. I believe Lafidi has been answering questions in the chat. But if you want, you can just unmute yourself and ask the questions, and we're happy to support.
Great job, Ashley. One of the questions that I wasn't able to answer was, how can parents access the missing assignments? And I told them Powerschool, but is there a way on Schoology as well they can look at that?
The best way would be Powerschool. Powerschool will tell you exactly what assignments your student are missing, as well as contacting the teacher. I think emailing the teacher directly and saying, hey, I see my student has a D and F. Can you please let me know what they're missing? Or you can say, I see unit 1.2, 1.3, or 1.4 are missing. What's your late policy? But definitely Powerschool and reaching out to the teacher about late assignments. Your student should also know as well. They say, can you pull up your Powerschool? Let me see what you're missing.
Okay, thank you. And I think most of the other questions have gotten answered.
Where are
go ahead.
Where are the assignments missing in Powerschool? So if you select the classroom, the class, so let's say it's Algebra 1, if you select on it, it'll give you a list of all the assignments that have been accepted. And so if there's like a 0 in the grade, that means it was missing.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you so much for all this information. Regarding the practice testing they did today, I have a sophomore. When will those results be? Are they given to the students, or are they sent to them in the mail to parents? How will we receive that?
That's a good question. You guys will get the information. I'm not exactly sure when. Do you know? Lafina?
Okay.
No, I don't know 100%, but I know that students will be given that as soon as the results are made available, but I will give it some time for sure.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if that was something that was going to be like mailed to parents, or if we need to be bugging our child to know how they did.
Yeah, I would just continue to ask them, probably give it a couple weeks.
Okay, great, thank you.
And if you don't hear anything by the end of the month, definitely contact their counselor and just say, hey, I know you guys took the SAT, PSATs. Do you know when we'll get the scores? Because then we could at least go into the office and ask someone who ran the testing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a follow-up question on the missing assignments.
Yes.
So if you have some of the teachers, they may take a while to get things graded. So it says 0. So you don't know if the student is missing it, or they just haven't graded it. And that's one of the problems I've been having. So I'm not sure, because that's happening it kind of comes in bursts where they grade. So then all of a sudden it could be a week or more before, a week or 2 before you know if it was actually missing or they just didn't grade it.
So what I've noticed, if there's a 0, that means the teacher graded it and has not went through the initial grades. Like if it was due on Tuesday, the teacher went in on Tuesday night and put a 0 for anyone who didn't turn it in. If there's no grade there, that means the teacher hasn't marked it missing yet.
If there's no grade, okay, and if they do have a 0, even though they haven't graded it yet, then should just me email the teacher?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So there's also a question regarding the login information for Naviance. So for Naviance, it's a single sign-on. So if your student just logs into their Gmail account, after they click the Naviance link, they should be able to just get access. They don't have any login information or passwords. So you shouldn't, input anything.
There's another question. How many times is a student allowed to take the SATs or ACT test? For example, if they bomb it the first time, do we have the opportunity to take it again? Yes, you can take the SATs and ACTs as many times as you want to pay the fee to take the test. Again, if your student is planning to go to a CSU, a UC, or a community college, it is not required for any admissions. It's not going to be penalized against them for not taking it. If they do take it and end up going to a CSU or UC, they will literally use the test for academic placing in like English and math. So if they scored really high on the SATs in math, they would bump up like a math course, if that makes sense. But they are able to take it as many times as they would like.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, my son is a freshman and he's in the foods class, which hasn't had a teacher for a while, and they've had a lot of subs, and I've been sending messages to the teacher. I haven't gotten a response. Who should I talk to about like work? He said sometimes the sub will give them work, sometimes it's just a free period. I don't know what's going on with this class. So I don't know who to talk to though, because I tried to reach out to the teacher and I haven't gotten a response. And like the other day he was doing a test and there was a problem with the Chromebook and the sub just said, I don't know how to help you. And that was it. And I don't know who to talk to about that, what actually happened or how he can make up this test. Do I talk to the counselor or?
Yes. So in the event that your student has a sub or a long-term sub, it's best to reach out to their counselor directly, as well as Kathleen Coakley, who is in charge of instruction. Patrick, can you put her email? Kathleen Coakley she supports, now this would be for like long-term subs. So if there's a teacher who for some reason has had to leave for a period of time during the school year, she would be able to support like what's going on with like the teacher wise. Kathleen Coakley, the counselor, also can help with that as well in giving you some background on maybe what's going on with the classroom. But yeah, so we unfortunately have lost, I don't know what happened with the foods teacher, but we've lost some teachers who, due to personal reasons, health, and so there's a crazy teacher shortage right now going on. So finding people who want to come in and teach the class full time has been a little bit of a challenge. So we do have a few classes with long-term subs in there. But yeah, reach out to the counselor for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the question about the food sub, I understand he has come into the class and he has been very strict, changed a little policies, and some of the students are worried about this teacher. Who do we make complaints to?
You can write an email to the counselor and then they will designate it or forward that email to the person who can support in the complaint.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. If ever you are in doubt or question who you should contact, shooting your counselor an email just saying, hey, Ms. Bonet, I don't know who this needs to go to, but this information needs to go to somebody. This is what's going on in the classroom. We're concerned. These are the behaviors. This is the teacher, blah, blah, blah. And then the counselor will say, I'm forwarding this email to the director of discipline or the director of curriculum, and then they should follow up. And just if you ever wonder what someone's email address, it's always their first name dot their last name at claytonvalley.org. So for instance, mine is ashley.bonet@claytonvalley.org. So that pretty much concludes the presentation. Me and Mr. Lafidi will stay on for about another 10 minutes. If people want to just answer questions, you're free to stay on, but you're also free to jump off if you want. Can a student who is enrolled in the academy this school year switch to a different academy next school year? Yes, we encourage you to notify the current academy that you will be disenrolling for next school year. And remember that there's still an application process for the new academy and there's no guarantee. It's based on space and availability, and there's still an interview and application process for the new academy.
Who do they talk to about getting into an academy in the middle of the year?
So usually we don't accept students in the middle of the year of the academy because we also don't make schedule changes this late into the school year.
So for next year, do they start the application like in the spring or?
They start, I believe the application starts in January.
Okay.
So just email your student's counselor and say, hey, we want information on the academy application for the following school year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, could you also talk a little bit more about the NCAA? You said before junior year? Like I have a junior.
Yeah.
Is it too late?
So I would tell them to meet with their counselor this week and register for the NCAA. So you can go online and it's eligibilitycenter.org. You can create the account and then meet with the counselor to ensure that the student has completed a total of 16 core courses prior to going their senior year.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Are there any online tutorials for parents about navigating the Schoology or Powerschool? Or is that something that you guys would be working on or thinking about?
Patrick.
Well, we don't have any training now, but if you want to make like an appointment with your counselor, I'm sure they'll sit down and walk you through it. We do have like pieces of paper that kind of gives you information on how Powerschool and Schoology works, but I'm not sure how, effective that is. But
Right.
yeah, if you want like a tutorial, I think you should try to, schedule an appointment with your counselor, and they'll definitely try to help you with that.
When
Your student should be able to support you with that as well, because Schoology is something that they know where the folders are, they know where the assignments are turned into. So your student definitely should be able to walk you through that as well.
Well, that was a huge learning curve when he started. I don't know what kind of, if there was if they did anything in school. My junior went to a different school for his first year, and the whole first week, all they focused on was the the technology, the software that they use in that school. So before they even started their classes, they knew, you know, how to navigate these different areas. And my freshman really had a hard time, and it took me a while to even realize that he was struggling with just how to turn things in and where the work is. And I don't know what kind of training the students are getting, if it's anything structured or if it's just, you know, they do it in the class. Each teacher, you know, just goes into it and says, click here, click here, click here. I don't know. All I know is that it doesn't seem like he received the same kind of it was the first school, they called it like a boot camp, where they learned how to use the technology first, the software first.
I definitely will take note of that and pass it along to teachers. And then Oakley, who's in charge of curriculum, to ensure that, like, I don't know what kind of training they do for students coming in. I assume as freshmen, these are all platforms we use that they probably walk them through it as a freshman. But definitely take notes that not everyone's coming in as a freshman and they might need some tutoring or tutorials on how to go through the program. So thank you for that.
Hey, Teresa, I think that was a great point that you made, though. I'll definitely tell my director about that. You know, just in the beginning week of school, I think it is smart to kind of educate at least the freshmen on how Powerschool Schoology works.
Yeah, I mean, because when my junior, when he came in last year as a sophomore in the beginning of the year, like after a month or so, he had no problem because he already knew Schoology and he knew it like in a deep kind of way. He didn't know it just like superficially, like he didn't have any problems at all. Whereas my freshman, he struggled. I mean, I know they're different kids and, you know, maybe one just was more adept or I don't know. Like I said, I didn't know what kind of training. I know the kids were there for a week, the first week before school, but it didn't sound like the same kind of technology, you know, boot camp thing. It was more of a social, you know, kind of get your bearings with the campus and yeah, more of a social thing. So thank you.
There's another question in the chat and it says, is there going to be more field trips, college universities throughout the school year? So unfortunately, there aren't any more where the students go to the colleges, but we do have a bunch of college reps and college presentations going on throughout the school year through our College and Career Center.
I would second what she said about the Schoology and the Powerschool, just to get a little thing for the parents, because I mean, my son's a sophomore now, but it took months to try to even figure out the basics. And even now, I still didn't know where missing assignments were. It's kind of hard to get that from your kids sometimes, but we got no info. So just even a basic, a little tiny thing with pictures of this is where this is where this is, that parents can access would be so helpful. Just because we don't know, and trying to get it from a freshman who's learning it or as they go along and I've got it would be super helpful, just so we can go and go, okay, I know where that is, even if we're not getting all the thing. That would be super helpful.
Got it. Definitely take notes of that and pass it along to our director.
Cool, thank you so much.
No problem. There is another question about foreign language. Regarding language, they can take 1 year of college course language that can cover both years correct. So the most credits you can get for a college level course, so if you take language at DVC, it's 3 college units, which converts to 10 high school credits. So again, they need 20 high school credits to meet the language, so they would need to take 2 courses at the college level. And just remember, Clayton Valley only accepts foreign language from a community college for languages we do not offer. So we offer Spanish, French, and sign language. So they could get elective credits for that, but they would not get their foreign language credits for that. Now, if they want to take Mandarin, any other language other than the 3 I listed, they would be able to get the foreign language credits put on their high school transcript. And we do strongly encourage students to take community college classes, to explore options. And I believe they're allowed 1 community college level course to be on their transcript as like an elective. And again, any community college courses that your student takes during their high school year, when they apply to college, they're still considered a freshman and those credits transfer with them. So we've had students who have taken community college classes. They don't go on their high school transcript, but they do, like I said, go towards college credits. And when it's time to transfer, they do 1 year at DVC and then they're able to transfer to a 4-year university and have already met some of the main requirements for general ed. So I believe we'll stay on until 6:50. So if there's any last questions, please let us know. And if anything comes up after the presentation, please feel free to reach out to your counselor. They can provide you with additional support. Does DVC provide online classes? They do, but not for all subjects. They have increased the number of online classes since COVID. But again, you could just check the DVC course catalog for the spring semester because fall has already started and see what classes they offer and which ones are online. So the question is how do we apply for concurrent college classes? So basically you would go to the DVC website, you would create an account as a current high school student. When you do that, it will ask you what classes you want to take, and then it'll send your counselor an email. So you have to put your counselor's email address in. We will then sign the concurrent enrollment form via email. DVC sends it to us directly, and we approve if the student is eligible. So for instance, if we have a freshman in Algebra 1, we're not going to approve you for calculus because you haven't taken the prerequisites for that. But if you're saying that you want to take a language, you want to take an arts and humanities, we will approve those kind of things. So again, you go through DVC. I believe if you just Google DVC high school concurrent enrollment application, it will take you directly to the page, click it, and your student, if they have troubles with the application, they can always come to their counselor and we can help walk them through this. I mentioned college resources and programs that are available when someone asks about college visits. Can you speak more onto that? I'm not exactly sure what's being asked, but we do have the College and Career Center, and we have the 2 college and career counselors, Ms. Gonzalez and Ms. Garcia. They run the whole college and career program. They have colleges that come to campus during ugly hour as well as lunch, and hold workshops, presentations, and students are able to sign up for those via Naviance, as well as dropping into Ms. Gonzalez or Ms. Garcia's office saying that they want to attend these college and career programs. So, Ms. Gonzalez and Ms. Garcia are located in the Student Center office. So if you have questions about college and career, you just come to Student Services and they are available. Okay, thank you all for joining our presentation today. Again, this will be available on the the counseling department's website tab. Give us a day or two to put it up, but it will be there. If you have any questions after this presentation, we strongly encourage you to email your counselor based off of last names. That list is also listed on the Clayton Valley website. And thank you for joining us. You guys have a great evening and continue to be great parents.